Now, ladies and gentlemen, to carry on the conversation and Hyde Park, and there's a picture. I get scolded in the comments. Why are you wasting time? Go on and write.
You know, they say, Amish, good things come to those who wait. And especially with such a blockbuster book, it was worth the wait.
Thank you. Thank you.
While a lot of people don't know this, I happened to do some research and I realized that all 4 of your books have a lot of hidden messages and codes, including the cover, including messages in between. How many of y'all have actually realized that? Okay, not.
I painted those codes into my t-shirt.
Oh wow!
Wow! Applause for him.
So now there's a lot of Brahmi script, right? While that's there, also I happen to realize if you stack the 4 books together, there is a code and there's a map that comes about.
Do you have the 4 books?
Yes, we do. Can I have all the 4 books, please?
Ram, Sign of Vishwaku, Sita, Mithila, Ravan, and War of Lanka. Just get all 4 books. Ram Sign of Vishwaku was published in 2015, right?
Yeah.
And Charu, just get all 4 books. 1 copy of all 4 books. No, you don't need to open it. Just get it. They were all published, in roughly 2-year gaps. I know War of Lanka was. Apologies. If you actually put them in a stack. Put them in a stack like this, it actually starts forming a map. Which gives you an idea of what this series is actually about. This is the series of the creation of Meluha, actually. Or the only truth. This is my concept, which I find inspiring. Hopefully, a few others find it inspiring.
That's why they're here today, and that's why this book has happened to be the most loved book of this entire time. And as I said, haven't you all been waiting for this book? Yes. How excited are we? Can we show him some love? Also talking about the book, so a lot of people don't know that the Ramayana we read today is actually from the 16th century. It's actually Ramcharitmanas that we're talking about.
Yeah, you're right actually, because the version of the Ramayana that most modern, at least urban Indians, think is the Ramayana is based on a 1980s television serial, largely. Yeah. No, I'm not talking about it. I actually respect what Raman and Sagarji did. He did a very good job, right? But it's largely based on a 1980s television serial. That 1980s television serial was largely based on the Ramcharitmanas, Goswami Tulsidas' Ramcharitmanas. It was composed in the 16th century. There are many changes that Tulsidas ji made from the original Valmiki Ramayana. Right? So, everyone believes Lakshman Rekha is there in the Ramayana? No. Anyone says it's not there?
No, it's not there. It's not there.
4, 5, 7. Yeah, applause for the 7 or 8 who said. Because in the original Valmiki Ramayana, actually it's not there. Right? And even the Ramcharitmanas, it doesn't come exactly the way you saw it in the television series. So, yeah, you're right actually. I think that there's this lovely line in North India, Hari Ananta, Hari Katha Ananta, that the forms of God are many, and therefore the stories are also many. But yeah, that is the way it is. But many of us aren't aware of the original Valmiki Ramayana. In fact, Valmiki ji is credited with 3 Ramayanas. The Valmiki Ramayana, the Adbhut Ramayana, and the Ananda Ramayana. In the Adbhut Ramayana, by the way, the women would be happy to know Sita Ma is a warrior, by the way. Credited to Valmiki. In that version, there are 2 Ravans, and the elder Ravan is killed by who? Sita.
That's so interesting, and I think it's surprising because while we study so much, while we read so much, a lot of us don't really know our own mythology too well. We don't know our own history. I know this is out of context, but if I ask people any question on Indian history or mythology, I'll see a very few show of hands and not particularly too many as to how, if I had to quiz them on pop. So,
But Natasha, if I may say, I don't think it's the fault of the younger generation or the experienced people. The fault is of our education system. We teach nothing of our history and our belief. I honestly believe the demand was always there. It's just that the supply wasn't there. I think this is one of the reasons why my book sells, because it's not there in the education system. maybe if the education system decolonized, I'll have to become a banker again. But it's not just in history or in our traditional scriptures. In every area, our education system is completely disconnected from our own Indian reality, right? So I love asking this question: how many seasons are there? What have you been taught in school? 4 seasons? Yeah?
Six.
No, I didn't ask what there actually is. What are you taught in school? Summer, autumn, winter, spring. Right? And I remember I had asked in the second standard, man, monsoon kahan gaya? India actually has 6 seasons. Something as basic as this. Europe has 4 seasons. Okay. Not just this, in everything. How many have heard of Pythagoras theorem? Everyone? Very simple reason you were taught in school. How many have heard of Bodhayana? Very few. Bodhayana. By the way, I'm a graduate of mathematics. I did BSc in mathematics. European mathematicians have accepted Bodhayana ji discovered Pythagoras theorem 200 years before Pythagoras did. You are not taught it. Everyone has heard of the Fibonacci series? Yes. Yeah? Okay, what did we call it the Fibonacci series? What did Fibonacci himself call it? Anyone knows? India series. Okay, Fibonacci wasn't a plagiarist. He acknowledged the source. Everyone has heard of algebra? Yes. Yeah, what's the root of the word algebra? Anyone knows? No. I'm saying the word algebra, where does it come from?
Like it's Sanskrit.
Someone said Arab mathematician, right? Yeah, whoever said Arab mathematician, you are right, applause for him. There's a guy called Al-Khwarizmi, okay, who wrote the principles of algebra in an Arabic text. Brilliant guy. His name was corrupted by the time it came to Europe to become algebra. Now Al-Khwarizmi was like Fibonacci. He didn't plagiarize, he was honest and truthful, he acknowledged his source. The name of his book is Kitab al-Hisab al-Hindi, the book of Indian mathematics. We are not taught this. Metallurgy, navigation, every area our ancestors had achievement. But we are not taught this in our education system. So how can you blame people for not knowing that? The fault is our education system, it's so colonial. In literature, we learn Shakespeare, Tennyson, nothing against Shakespeare, Tennyson. Why are we not taught Tiruvalluvar? Why are we not taught Kalidasa, Bhasa, Mirza Ghalib? These are we're speaking English. I'm not anti-West. There are good things in the West. It's been the most successful culture of the last 400 years. There's a lovely line in Sanskrit, Ano Badraha, Krito Yantu Vishwataha, that let noble thoughts come to me from all directions. Our ancestors were very happy to learn knowledge from anywhere. Goddess Saraswati can bless anyone. She doesn't have to bless only an Indian. If you bless someone, then learn from him or her. Correct? But first we must learn our own stuff.
Which is why hopefully we'll see these books on the shelves of schools sometime in the future. This is not only to tell you, but I've personally read all the books, and this is a start to a revolution where we are trying to change the way Indians actually perceive our own history, perceive our own epics. So this is a small start through your contribution. This is in fact, now we know, now we are going to pick up more books. Now a lot of people will start researching the Shiva theology, Ramchandra series, and all the books that you are going to write in future. These are a big contribution to how India's future is going to shape up later.
Thank you. Right. Most of you guys are youngsters. You are the ones who will run India, tomorrow. Get reconnected to our land. Again, nothing wrong in learning from the West. The most successful culture of the last 400 years. But get reconnected to our land, because you guys will be the elite that will make decisions. And if you are not connected to, our land, our culture, the decisions we make will be mistaken. Like you see, sorry if I may digress a bit, I'm very passionate about India, so I have to talk about these things. You've noticed so many glass wall buildings, right, in big Indian cities. I've spoken about this. It makes no sense in India. Glass wall buildings make sense in Western Europe. There is a shortage of the sun, and there they spend money on heating the building, not cooling the building. But we have an excess of the sun out there. When we build a glass wall building, we essentially build a giant microwave oven. It makes no sense in India, right? But we continue to build it because we are so mentally colonized. The way we treat our rains. Okay, pop quiz. What is the Sanskrit word for year? What's the Sanskrit word for nation? Bharat. Bharatvarsh. Okay. What's the root of these words? Varsha. Rain. Our ancestors were very clear that our entire way of life has to be built around the rain. Only the Indian subcontinent and Southeast Asia has this weather system. No other part of the world has it, right? So they used to keep reinforcing it. Everything would be built around the rain. Name of the year would be rain, built on rain. The name of the nation would be built around the rain. Why? Imagine, how many of you are earning salaries out here? Yeah? Okay, a good number. Now imagine if you got your salaries in this method. Okay? 12 months in the year, for 10 months you got precisely 0. Okay? And in 2 months you get your entire salary. How should you live your life? Should you just blow it all up in those 2 months and starve the next 10 months? Or should you save those 2 months and spread it out? To make it even more complicated, say the salary doesn't come to you, it comes to your entire housing society. And all of you have to share it. Everyone's collective salary comes out there. To make it even more complicated in those 2 months, sometimes, some years you get 150% of your salary. Some years you get 50%. What should you do? Save, collaborate in your local communities. Our ancestors did this, all temples, mosques. You notice all of them had ponds next to it. Why? Because if you get that once in 5 years bonus, you save it. So that you can use it in the dry period. The local community has to work with each other, always. Because remember, salary is not coming to you individually, going to your entire housing society. Right? Now, what do we do today? How do we build our cities? You know, we'll suddenly get surprised, "Arey, cloudburst ho gaya." Arey boss, if you're British, you should be surprised cloudburst ho gaya. This is India. Cloudburst has been happening every year for thousands and thousands of years. What are we surprised about? Right? You'll notice a city will flood. Hello, maybe you are Chennai mein hua, Hyderabad, Delhi, Mumbai, it keeps happening. Next year, water shortage. It makes no sense. We waste all that water. Why? Because mentally we all want to live in Europe. Our cities have to be copies of European cities. They don't get the rains the way we do. They don't get their water supply the way we do. Right? We get everything in 2 months. We have to be reconnected to our actual realities. Then we live better. Only Southeast Asia and the Indian subcontinent has this kind of system. That's the point I'm trying to make. There are real world impacts of us mentally wanting to live in Europe. Right? We actually hurt our country by doing this.
Absolutely. Speaking about the book, 2 of my favorite characters. Yes, there's Ram, there's Sita, there's Ravan. There are so many important characters. But 2 of the most underrated characters and yet the most beautiful characters in the book this time are Kumkaran and his son Indrajit. They are so strong, they're very underrated, but at the same time so strong, so powerful.
So I've been doing a lot of events. My throat is.
Can I get you something else as well?
Just some coffee. And maybe some dry fruit.
So, when we talk about this, what about the 2 characters? How did you actually conceptualize this and bring about such beautiful, underrated characters that are not talked about too much in history?
Actually, if you go in the original Ramayana, Kumbhakarna and Indrajit are actually spoken of quite a lot. And in that sense, they are really, the word is, there's a sense of melancholy when you read of them, right? How many of you have read the Shiva trilogy? Yeah, so Parvateshwar, was he one of your favorite characters? Yes! He was one of my favorite characters. He was based largely on my brother-in-law actually. I'm a man I idolized. I looked up to like a father. And what do you do when life puts you in a very difficult situation? What is called a dharma sankat in our life, right? That your heart wants to take you in one direction, but dharma says that you need to go another direction. And these are very, very difficult because there is no one right way, right? Vibhishan, for example. At least the way I portray it, because I always thought of him that at least he should have, if you are going against your own family, there should be at least some kashmakash in you. There should be something that's tearing you apart. Right? So that shows at least that you have that sense of loyalty and heart. But he just went so easily against, no matter what his elder brother was. Right? Of course his elder brother was a monster, I'm not denying that. But even then, right? Whereas Kumbhakarna and Indrajit were aware, right? And they tried their best to reform and stop Ravan. But then ultimately, if we are on this side, well, we have to fight and we have to die with it. Right? It makes them very intriguing characters. In some ways, nobility of being a good person but on the wrong side. Yeah, so that made them very intriguing for me. Maybe that's why they came on that list.
Some are beautiful in the book, and I'm sure a lot of them agree with me. And Amish, I just want to take this chance to actually thank you, because guys, not a lot of you know, I'm sure you've been following him on Instagram. He's been on the road since the 4th of October, doing this tour. This is going to go on till November. It's going to get extended a bit. He's been going to so many cities, doing multiple book launches in multiple stores, at least 6 or 7 per day. And
9-10 actually. But smart ही कहती थी पैसा कमाना आसान नहीं होता है.
hats off to you guys, come on. Hats off to you. The energy, this dedication, plus this kind of zeal is really hard to forget. Yes, a lot of people promote their books, but your effort into this book is seen today.
A lot of it is that, I'll be honest, I could joke about the money. It's also emotion. You know, I know Sainath is here somewhere. So he showed me a video today of store staff opening the packet of War of Lanka, and that guy made a recording and shared it with Sainath, and Sainath showed it to me. Store staff, essentially the frontline sales staff, and he was opening the carton, picked up the book, and he was saying Jai Shri Ram, Ram Ram. And I actually got emotional when he showed this video to me. There are enough easy ways. I mean, there are ways to make money. You can be. I was a banker. You're not a thief if you're a banker. You get a decent job, but to get the privilege and pleasure of this, it's a privilege like that. And that gives me the energy to work.
It's all your efforts. All of this is yours. If you had a chance to relocate the ultimate battlefield of Lanka, where would you like to have it in the Indian territory today? If you had the chance to, kind of in your imagination.
The Indian territory today? I hope we don't have battlefields. The downside though is, look, I'm in the field of geopolitics as well. I'm a diplomat. We have experienced what is called a long peace in the last 75 years. Per capita basis, violence was actually among the lowest. I genuinely feel that era is coming to an end. And there will be a difficult 10-15 years. 2020s will be a difficult period. Sadly, many of your generation will go through it. But what happens in this, in a period like this, is much of the world order changes. I genuinely believe if we are united, India will actually emerge stronger from this. But there will be a difficult 10-15 year period for the world. If you think about all that has happened in the last 2-3 years, once in a 100-year pandemic, Western nations are having 15-20% inflation. This is unheard of, right? The kind of, and there'll be more things like this because there's a lot of uthal-puthal happening in the world. What that means is that we as people, we as a nation have to be far more resilient. In times of severe change, we learn in evolution it's a survival of the fittest, right?
Yes.
That's actually wrong. It's actually survival of the most adaptable, right? People who are resilient, who can adapt to changing situations. I think that's something all of us should be mentally aware of. The next 10 years will be difficult. So we may not want that war, but wars will come to us. Like the pandemic hit us, hit India as well. We didn't start it, we had nothing to do with it, but it hit us. It started, India hasn't been the source of any pandemic for the last 500 years. Right? More often than not, actually the source has either been Europe or China. It's worth analyzing why. But we suffer from it. Like the Spanish flu also, what happened 100 years back, we suffer from it. So this is going to be a difficult 10-year period. All of you, realize that resilience is among the most important qualities to have. That it's not about how many times you get hit or fall down. It's about getting back up every single time, dusting yourself off and starting to walk once again. That's what will define the winners, for the next generation. And if I may add one thing, sorry to be sounding like I'm pontificating, but in a time like this, our nation must be united. All these silly divisions we have of religion, caste, regions, languages, there's no good time. There's no good time at any period, for these divisions. But particularly at this time, it is avoidable. You'll notice countries that are internally divided suffer a lot more in periods like this. We need to be united. Every single fellow Indian of ours, is our brother and sister. We have to work together. It will be a difficult 10 years.
Here we are united for our book launch, and we're united. I can say all of us together. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you on the behalf of Sapna. You fulfilled a lot of dreams here today by being here. A lot of people have been waiting to see you from quite some time.
Some of them may have scolded me also.
There's only love for you in this room today, and I can say it on all.
To be fair, even tough love is love.
A lot of us are going back richer today after hearing you speak. Thank you so much for this wonderful book, and on behalf of the entire management at Sapna, wishing you all the best for this.